So is Alibaba considered cheap now?
Yeah, I think it's cheap. Yeah, I do think it's undervalued. It's in terms of the PE range, the price earnings range, right? It's at a 5-year low.
So what is your base case for Alibaba?
It is still a number one leader in e-commerce in China, right? Yes, there are competitors coming up, but it's still the number one, and it's also number one in terms of the cloud business in China, right? Your Amazon cloud, your Google cloud, all this can forget about going to China because it's a protected market. So they only allow their own homegrown companies to come up. And in terms of cloud technology and adoption, China is behind US, definitely, many years behind. Um, I don't know whether there is some cultural differences that may result or economic differences that result in a slower adoption of cloud in China. That is one possibility. If that happens, then that's not good for Alibaba. All right. E-commerce wise, the biggest worry is not the regulation, but it's more of the competition that's coming up. You have your Meituan, you have your JD, right? All these players, or even Pinduoduo, all getting bigger and bigger, right? That would take some part of it from Alibaba, even though it's still number one. I guess the saving grace was Alibaba's Taobao live streaming. I'm pretty big on that. I like the creator economy theme, and China is very big on this, right? And the West is just copying right now. Facebook getting more creators, creator studio for the audio side, right? You guys should be quite aware of that. But in China, they are way ahead. No matter what platform, you can actually make money of it as a creator, right? So the live streaming in China is really boosting e-commerce like hell, right? And you also must give it to them that they can invent a new festival to force people to spend more money, right? And every year it breaks out. Every year Alibaba just break record. And I think that live streaming will just push it even further for the next few years. It's not going to dry out anytime soon. So I do think that in terms of the business fundamentals, is pretty solid, right? And the price being whacked down is a good opportunity. And even though Jack Ma said the wrong things, he's no longer in Alibaba. He is in Ant Financial. He's in Ant Group, unfortunately, but it's just one part of Alibaba. Last time there used to be three things that help Alibaba, right? E-commerce, the cloud, as well as the fintech side. But I think the fintech will be hard, given that the government wants a lot more control and it forced them to become a regulated financial institutions. So I think the margins will come down, the growth will slow down, but we can forget about that, and we still have e-commerce as well as the cloud. And yeah, maybe the valuation will come down a bit because Ant Group is not that valuable anymore, right? Even if they spin off to a listing, I think it's not as hot as before, right? Yeah, if Alibaba managed to spin off before they call it off, right, then I think Alibaba definitely probably will be trading above $300 by now. Right? More than that is even possible. But unfortunately, right, that in China, that's how things work. They don't have in US, right, you have a Senate that will give you a chance, right? Let me summon the tech leaders. Let's discuss about this. What do you think, right? I have this allegation. What do you think? Then they'll deliberate about it. Then months pass, and then they get to lobby. Do you want me to support you the next campaign? Okay, can you, so and so do this and do that, right? So US tend to not make decision very fast, right? Whereas China, there's no such thing as a Senate. There's only one person that decide. Okay, I don't like you. Let's kill it off, right? So then they will just execute, right? Plan to execution is like how y'all did this in 2 days. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I think there's just pros and cons. On one hand, you can say that there's too much power residing in a few people in China, right? But I can also say that in US, because of all these companies able to lobby things, okay, you can say that it is a form of corruption to a certain degree, right? You can actually shape the politicians, give them favors, and maybe you can let it go easier. So I think no matter how the political system is structured, there is always a pros and cons. Yeah.
Nice. So overall, what you've just brought up is that we can kind of see Alibaba in three parts, right? The cloud
Yeah.
computing portion, the e-commerce portion, and then the whole like live stream content creator portion.
Yeah.
Okay, so then
No, the live stream is still part of e-commerce lah.
it's part
Yeah,
of
the fintech is the fintech.
the fintech side of
And
things.
group is still worth money, just not as much as before. Still worth money, and I believe they will spin it off eventually. Yeah.
Nice. By the way, I just want to add on to the whole cloud computing thing. So I worked for a cloud computing company for a short period of time, right? And people, I don't think a lot of people understand that computing and the internet is actually governed by wires. So actually in and out the cable, the data transmission in and out of China is very, very expensive. I think the name is an M2 connection or something along those lines, right? It's one of the most expensive connection in and out of China. So that in itself already forms a very big barrier for anybody that is operating out of China trying to enter the cloud computing space in China. Okay, so that is one big barrier that is already been set up, and Alibaba essentially owns that whole pipe. All right, so yeah, interesting thoughts.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, but you were saying about like how in the cloud computing space, China is a lot backward compared to
Yeah.
the US, right? So how do you then see this thing? Is this like an opportunity, or like why like how do you like infer from this reality?
I mean, it's backward in terms of the adoption, but Alibaba Cloud is still growing very well. So it shows that the adoption is coming, right? If the Chinese is not much different with the Americans, then eventually Alibaba will catch up, and the cloud business will be worth a lot of money. Like essentially for Amazon, many years the profits were driven by AWS, right? Amazon Web Services. So it is lucrative, and I think Alibaba just turned profitable on their cloud business segment this quarter, right? If I'm not wrong, that was what I remember, and that is promising by itself. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
what
Alibaba,
the
basically, I think that it is undervalued at this price. But of course, it's always better to have a longer term view, and just assume that the share price will be suppressed for many months. Yeah, many months. Yeah. So
okay.
if it just jump up, right, then it's a good surprise. Yeah. If it don't, then at least you're not disappointed.
Fair. But then what are your thoughts on the e-commerce space, right? Because like you said, in e-commerce, right, there are a lot of competition. JD, Pinduoduo, Meituan, everybody is coming in, and they're not like small people, right? They're not shy to compete, and they're pretty hard on this thing. So how do you what is the kind of numbers in Alibaba at this moment in time, and this being one of their core business, in fact their core business, how does that play out then in your view?
They still have dominating market share. The last I checked is still more than 50%. So it's still pretty strong. And they don't just have the B2C, C2C kind of platform. They also have the B2B platform, right? They are really original Alibaba platform. So they are in a lot more segments than their competitors. That's one thing for sure. The live streaming is strong. I think the rest are not. The only concern that I have would be more of Douyin, because Douyin has managed to really gather a lot of people right on the platform, and once you get a lot of people on your platform, you can do a lot of things to them, right? So they are moving into e-commerce and payment system. All this is almost the Alibaba Tencent playbook, and I think that is one big one to watch. I'm not so concerned about JD, Pinduoduo, and Meituan. I'm more concerned about Douyin, because last time, if you remember, they always call it the BAT, right? Like US have the FANG, then China has BAT, Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. But we all know that Baidu is long gone. It's only A and T. But I think ByteDance will take that place, and the BAT will be restored. Yeah, so which means ByteDance is at that league. Yeah, I see ByteDance as the league of Alibaba and Tencent. Yeah, the rest are just a second tier kind of tech companies. Yeah.
Okay. Thomas has some thoughts about ByteDance. I think you wrote quite something about ByteDance, right? How do you think
Right.
they will affect this competition with Alibaba?
I think in quite a significant way, depending on the target audience that Alibaba is focusing on in terms of their live streaming segment. So TikTok or Douyin, they focus on like millennials and younger, right? But their live stream or their short video formats, right, is so far I don't see that being replicated by the Chinese companies, lah. Yeah. But they only target certain kinds of people, right? And the type of products that's being sold also, it might not be the same kind of things that Alibaba sells, right? But definitely, I think compared to the rest of the competitors, totally agree. That's more of like the first tier kind of competitor as compared to the rest.
But I think, it's like every season someone uses a certain social media platform, right? And so Instagram was,
Different
Facebook was, different generation. So cannot forget that, older people will get older, and then the young people will start to become the main bulk of consumers, right? And that's kind of where it can potentially hit towards. So
Facebook is like Gen X and Y, and Instagram is Y, and then now TikTok, I think is closer to Z lah. It's more, and the younger Ys lah.
Nice. And you talk about like end financials and payments, being less profitable as compared to before, right? Can you paint some color on that? Like why is it going to be less profitable after regulation?
Because being a financial institution, right, means you will be subjected to all the regulations like capital requirements, all this. That means that you cannot lend out after a certain amount, and that limits your business, you see. Right? It's not that you have no business, but you can't lend out anymore. And actually your revenue will be lower, all your margins will be thinner, right? All these kind of things. And your compliance also, that's I think that's what the government wants to kill. Right? They have no problem with the payments. Yeah, the payments help to oil their engine and the transactions. They are more than welcome with that. But since I think 2017, there was a saga in China about all this peer-to-peer lending, micro lending. India it was a concern. They didn't bring down Ant Financial at that point in time because they had more trashy companies to deal with. So they shut all the P2P companies down. But then I guess over time, they don't see the problem going away. So and maybe Jack Ma words will trigger as well, right? Then
you never know lah.
Since we want to do it, might as well do it one shot. Everybody just throw them in.
Fair. But are you concerned about shareholdership and the management at Alibaba? Because I mean, there are phantom board directors, there are phantom shareholders at this moment in time. So are you concerned about these kind of things? You know what I mean, right? Because when Jack Ma stepped down, he handed out the shares, he handed out the power to all these random people that you never hear before. They're probably insiders of the Communist Party, right? Are you concerned about such a structure? He passed to.
From a bigger picture, I'm not so concerned. Because at the end of the day, right? If China, I believe China has an ambition to take over US to become the world number one, right? And for that to happen, right, China needs big successful companies like Alibaba and Tencent. And they are just doing all this, right, to continue to have that reign over them. But they're not out there to destroy the both of them because they cannot afford to. If both of them die, there goes the Chinese dream really, right? So they are in this together. They just want to make sure that keep in line. And they have that. I have your balls, right? They just want to do that. As long as you kowtow, then everything is fine. Yeah.
As long as you fall within the line, yes.
Yeah. So I think the bigger picture is more important than who owns Alibaba and things like this. Because as long as the Communist Party, right, also need Alibaba to succeed at the international level.